Podcast world, what's up? Back at you, Chad Belly. Another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody. Thank you all so much for subscribing, and thank you for supporting the partners and sponsors that support the TV shows, our podcast, our social media. Today's episode, again, is brought to you by our friends, Lynchburg, Tennessee, the one and only Jack Daniel's. So American, so perfect, the sour mash, Tennessee whiskey. So many country songs have been written about it. It's helped us through breakups, and it's been there for the high times, the good times. Jack Daniel's, thank you all so much for what you do and believing in us. Please enjoy it responsibly. Never allow underage drinking. Jack Daniel's, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Today's guest, she's back. One of my favorite voices ever in country music, blues music, soul music. She engulfs it all. She encompasses it all. Miss Heidi Newfield, how are you, my sister?
My brother, Chad, I am well. How are you today?
I'm so good because I'll let a little secret out of the bag. I had a swimming pool built last year. And so it's like, that's
you
the
need that right now. It's hot where you are.
That's the joy of my life right now. Is just when it's 95 in Tahoe, it's just nice to be able to climb in there. When in Tahoe's still a little bit, most people wouldn't get in Tahoe right now.
Yeah,
little cold, it's that high mountain lake.
At least you guys. So I'm curious out there, the people, your listeners, because people talk about this whole, and I've always gotten a kick out of this whole. Dry heat versus humidity. So here in Tennessee right now, it's about 85 degrees, 82, 85 degrees, but we have so much humidity. So you walk outside and within, 5 minutes, you need to come back in and take a shower again. You're hot. So do you, when you've taken plenty of trips back here to the South, does the dry heat seem way different to you? Because, you stick bread in an oven, it still bakes the bread, whether it's dry or not.
Yeah. It's a lot different in a way of when you're not used to the South, the Southeast, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, some places, and even in Florida, when you're not used to it, it makes you have a really uneasy, almost claustrophobic, and develop anxiety because you feel like your clothes are sticking to you. You feel like everybody's dirty. And the dry heat up here, it's hot and the sun will get you, but you never feel like you're in that sauna, which I like that feeling. I like to be in a heat room once in a while or a sauna and really like get it all out. But I've always said that.
Not when you get up in the morning and go out to your car. Or your truck.
Like that just kills you. Like, and especially if you run hot, like some people I know, you probably have to change shirts 4 or 5 times a day if you don't live under an air conditioner. But the heat here, like in Tahoe, like I don't know if you've played out here. I don't know if you've got to visit the beaches of Tahoe. There's no place like it on earth.
Many times, both in all seasons in Tahoe.
Oh, I love Tahoe.
It's one of my favorite places to it's stunning. It's one of my favorite places to be. It's Lake Tahoe and that whole area up there. It's where I learned to ski. It's where I came up, really.
Because you're not far from there.
It's about a 3-hour drive from where I was born and raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, California. I mean, Tahoe's part, half and half, California, Nevada. But yeah, it's just a special place, and it's like one of the wonders of the world. And I've had this discussion and this argument with people of where I don't know of another lake or body of water that has the tourist traffic that Tahoe does year round, because not a lot of them have the summer and winter time. Some of them have a lot of them have summer, but they don't have the ski slopes to keep it going in the winter like Tahoe does. So, and we get tons of snowfall. So that place from Truckee all the way around to North Shore, South Shore, it's busy year round, except right now they've already canceled. And the first time in my life, they canceled 4th of July at Tahoe.
I'm certain of it. Because us as artists out there and of course, everyone that we're involved with, we kind of we're the center of the wheel. And then, from songwriters to publishers to managers to you name it, we keep that wheel going. And, we're just, our lives, we have literally just, this has become our reality. It's between it's on a computer screen and not getting to play live and get out there and tour is just such an odd feeling. I got to tell you, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to take the year off from touring and I've got other things I want to do. I want to go hunting. I want to go, I want to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want to go do this or I want to go do that. It's another thing entirely to just basically all of us be sort of forced to have to be follow protocol and be in very, very strange reality that we're living in. So I'm trying to adjust, but being an outdoorsman myself, like you are, and where you are, and we have a lot of beautiful state parks and a lot of really beautiful, lush farmland out here where I am as well. And it's really hard not to hang with your people and gather around the pool and do the thing. Even that we're limited in doing. So it's a strange times indeed that we are living in.
Yeah, I think it's just, I often refer to like confidence and being able to network and being able to adapt to different crowds and travel in the country. Like we have both had the blessing to be able to do so in our lives, and you in music and me in the outdoors. It's just, I've been thinking a lot to myself, Heidi, about, are we going to lose our swagger? Are we going to remember how to act all the time? Are the locations going to be able to recover like the swagger? Yeah. I want to get into this word swagger because the town that you're coming from is in Nashville is got more swagger than pretty much any place in the country right now. The last 10 years, the place has exploded. The swagger there is kind of cool. It's just a really cool town if you enjoy live music, good food, and great people. I don't know the ins and outs of it like you do, but the experiences that I have had there are at the top of my list. But to hear people talk about Broadway being shut down and no music, to where you could walk into a place at noon or at midnight and you're going to hear some kind of cover band or some kind of original. And I just hope that comes back. Like, how long will it take for Broadway and Midtown to get its swagger back? Are people going to trust right away? Some people say that I'm a worrywart, and I'm like, well, not really, because we're kind of being honed to be this way from now on. Are we going to keep our distance? And I don't know. I might be looking too much into it and putting too much drama into it, but I'm just hoping that, I had a call before this with a partner, and we're talking about February at the NWTF, our party every year. I'm like, man, I hope we have it, because they already canceled NRA there. So I'm just hoping that I'm hoping that America and the world and our people and our communities get our swagger back, and that we can be comfortable around each other again and live life.
I hear what you're saying, Chad, and the way that I've been choosing to kind of look at this whole thing pretty much from the start, and of course it's really scary. You start to see that those death numbers go up, and the death toll go up. And I personally, depending on where you live in the country, I have lots of friends who are living in areas that they don't know. I just had a conversation with my sister in Sonoma County, California, and she said, and they're being super careful. They're social distancing. You can't go into a store without a mask on, all of that, which I think is great. But I said, Kelly, do you even know anyone who's had the coronavirus or is dealing with? And she said, Heidi, we have not had around us as a family. We don't know one person. Whereas me here in Nashville, I have personally quite a few friends who actually got the virus. The majority of those friends went through all the rigors of it, like the body aches, the fever, the hardcore, like 2 to 3 weeks of hardcore quarantining, fellow musicians, but got through it, got over it. And then I have a few friends who got it and had very few symptoms, and they were they got through it a little easier. Who knows how many of us have been asymptomatic, which is really the scariest part about this virus. But I also have 3 or 4 actual friends, people that I would consider a friend, that have passed away from it. So if you're in a place where it's affected your life personally, you're gonna look at it a little differently. And if you're in a place where you don't know anybody who's had the virus, it's not personal to you. It's a little harder because it's not close to your heart. That being said, bottom line is, I feel like this virus, I feel like this, what we're going through right now, the way this thing is spreading, airborne, the fact that it's kind of a silent killer, the fact that it can be spread through people that don't have any symptoms. I think that is an absolute, and if you're a non-believer, that's totally cool. I'm no judge of anybody when it comes to faith or any of that, but I think this is God talking to us. And I think that we need to open our eyes and our ears and be listening to what he's trying to tell us. And I think that's to take care of our environment, and us as outdoorsmen and people that both of us, we love to hunt, we love to fish, take care of our open waters, take care of our air quality. And as you've seen people go inside, what have you seen? You've seen our air quality get better. You've seen in places like LA and Miami and places where it's stagnant and you've got smog and all that stuff. You're seeing a little cleaner air. You're seeing people just because we've had to. So I think there's some messages here we need to be listening to. And I think there's a footprint that God he's talking to us. And there is a, simply put, I think that, I hope anyways, that as we move in and out, I pray that this is the only phase of this thing. I don't know that will be the case. We might I'm seeing some things where we're getting spiked in other states. This being one of them. Tennessee we're spiking here again. So that being said, however long it takes, I hope that we carry some of the lessons that we're learning about taking care of each other, loving each other, reaching out to our families, having dinner with our families, being close to each other, parents who are having to homeschool, the quality of life of being together, reaching out to your friends and saying, what do you need? How can I help? There are lots of things that we are doing right now that I hope leaves a footprint when this is long gone. So I'm trying to take the positives from it. And I just pray that we're able to as we open back up, that the people aren't idiots and, dummies like some people have already been. And if you ask me, it's just disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the people who have died, to their families that are suffering from it, from the people who have fought the virus. I think it's just disrespectful to go, I don't care. And I also think it's disrespectful to make it a political thing. And I don't mind saying that. I think this is, that pisses me off, frankly. And I know it's a family show, but it really makes me mad when we politicize something that we're talking about being a life and death issue. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's how we feel about it in our home.
No, I'm right on the same page with you. And I don't shut the world off, but I really try to look at it through the optimistic binoculars of becoming better in areas that I obviously needed to be better, and the messages were sent to us this way. So I think there's a great way of looking at it as far as the way you just described it, with becoming a better, whatever you needed to work on personally.
A better friend, a better father, a better son, a better daughter.
Yeah, just everything. I mean, I've honed in on cooking, on home ec with Alyssa, on swimming lessons, on physical education, on more walks, more just slowing down and taking a walk in the evening, where
absolutely
when you're running and gunning, I was barely home at that time. So anyway, I'm staying optimistic as well. And I completely agree with what you're saying. And I think it is disrespectful too, that just because we get a little bit of leeway or somebody gives a little bit of that rope, that we try to take a mile and we're right back on. I've seen beaches in Florida where people were shoulder to shoulder already. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if we want to get back, our revenue streams and get back to living.
Right.
And it's going to be dependent on our responsibility level. And there's been a lot of irresponsibility through this. And then the political part of it, it's just like it's a media blitz. It becomes a media blitz, and politics is a business now, and it should have never been a big business, in my opinion.
No, it shouldn't have. But, both sides are guilty. And at the end of the day, they're equally as guilty. And it didn't matter which side you are. It's just stop already. When people are, if they, I just wish they'd stop and look at the big picture here. And that being said, you know, I've got a gig that is my literally, and this tells you how kind of big of a deal it is for the change, like the change of the pace of us artists in our lives. Like, and so many people, so many of us out there, no matter what you do for a living, literally hitting the brakes or the pause button. It has been, I mean, every single live show that I had on the books, which was I was going to be gone this summer and early fall, which I enjoy doing. I love doing. I love bringing the music out to the people. And since I have a new record coming out in August, it's just like perfect timing. It's a time to be rejoicing and, you know, putting this new music out. And so here I am with, you know, we moved it back, the release date back from June 5th to August 28th, thinking that maybe, good Lord willing, that the timing would give me enough sort of space to be able to tour around it, do some release parties, get the music out there to the people, that some of the venues would be opened back up. And I have to be honest, you know, it's June, basically, the top of June, and I don't see that happening because those would be being booked right now. I do, ironically, you just mentioned the beaches in Florida. I do have one date, one date that has been on the books for months, and it's in Panama City Beach, Florida, and it's not a private show, but it's a show for only the people who stay at this resort. And it's actually it's a Holiday Inn of all things, a Holiday Inn in Panama City Beach Resort. Beautiful stage right on the ocean. And they are reopening and they're booking talent. And I just saw, I think Colin Ray opened it up, and I saw a video of his show, and I showed it to my other half, Matt. I was like, I cannot believe, of course it was over Memorial Day weekend. So granted, that is a busy time anyways, but it was, nobody had masks on. The Colin and was up on stage, and the ocean's behind him, and he's got the open air, and he's kind of, you know, obviously away from the crowd a little bit, but the people were just wall to wall packed in there. Of course, in any other situation, that would be ideal. That's exactly what we want. But in this particular case, I'm kind of going, it scares me a little bit. You know, not for me as much as it does my people. I don't want to put anybody in harm's way. At the same time, I am keeping the date, June 21st, and I'm keeping it scaled down. Just me and a 3-piece band, so 4 of us, 4-piece band on stage instead of the full thing. And I'm going to keep it and do it. But I think the only reason that I have felt kind of okay about it is because it is outdoors. But it's, you know, it's something I think about. And because you always want to keep your people safe. You want to keep yourself and your band safe. And you want to keep the people that are staying, you know, that fans, and half of those fans are, you know, they become friends. I met you through the music as you know, as a fan, and we've become friends. And so, you know, it's like, you don't want anybody being put in harm's way. So one date, though, that's all I've got on the books, and everything else has been postponed. Very, very likely to most everything has moved to 2021. So
yeah, I've been seeing some video of the Floribama and the beaches around Panama, and it's they're out there. People are they're in the bars, and I know that, you know, that it's not shoulder to shoulder, but it's busy, it's crowded.
It's busy.
I don't know if there is going to be a spike or not. I'm hoping not. Most states are starting to slowly go into phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 and open. You know, I think bars are kind of like on the last part of the, you know, in the last phase of all of those efforts. So
bars are kind of the scariest because, I mean, you're, for obvious reasons, you know, you're clamored in there and close together. And if that were the case in this thing, I think I would have gone ahead and declined it and said, let's hold off. But because it's out in the open, and on the beach, which is kind of a healthy place to be. And there's a lot of healthy elements that we need, from the beach that are good for us. So I'm going to go with it. But, I think everybody, no matter what you do for a living, we're all just kind of trying to be, there's a lot of us that are reluctant. Doesn't matter what side, whether you're red or blue or somewhere in the middle. It's, I just want us all to be smart about it and to take care of each other. So that we could go on forever about all this, but I do think there's a message that we should be listening to, and books we need to be reading, and things that we need to be. It's a good time to be quieting our minds, and that's really hard for me to do. I've always got busy brain. I don't know if you're that way, but I'm like, I'm always got something going on, and this time has made me have to put my ears in and listen to audiobooks or crack a book more and spend quiet time watching documentaries, being with my Matt and I in the house, lots of cooking, lots of quality time. And
are you writing at all?
Quality time talking to our people too.
Are you writing? Have you found inspiration in any of this, or to get some lyrics going?
Chad, it's interesting. The first month or so, it was the opposite. Like I kind of was in, I was a little stunned by all of this. I was saddened. I still am. I still have good days and bad days. I still have days. I think all of us that are going through this, I don't know very many people who are just walking through this like it's no big deal. I have some days where I literally can't get out of the blues. Like I feel bad for what's going on. I feel bad for the loss. I feel bad for what I'm seeing around us. I feel bad. I got on social media today. One of my favorite little hometown, I say hometown, meaning here in Nashville. This is my second home, I guess you'd say. Clubs that so many of us played the stage at this little club is closing its doors for good, and called Douglas Corner. And I'm seeing a lot of that happen. And so there's this, businesses, restaurants, all kinds of different things that are barely hanging on by the skin of their teeth. And that's going to affect you. And there's also, the isolation and stuff like that. Matt and I have been around some friends, but we've been doing so responsibly as of late. This Memorial Day weekend, this past weekend, we were around some, like our little tribe here in Nashville, a very small group of people. And man, it did our hearts so good to be around some dear ones, just to be able to share a meal together and sit down. But we were respectful. The pool was open, but everybody was respectful of each other's space. So, I've been having for the first month and a half, lot of the blues, and not to answer your question, not very inspired to write. Then that kind of turned into, the more I started reading and listening and watching certain things, the more I started getting inspired, which is inevitable. I find that the more I read, or even if I do audiobooks, it's my vocabulary opens up and my brain opens up, and my sentences get, I start using larger more than 2 syllables per word. You know what I mean? Those kinds of things. So it inspires the songwriting part of things. So Matt and I both have been sitting down, writing some things, and kind of capturing what's going on in our minds during this time. And I think that will become, I think they're so far the things that we've written, he's written a couple things that I think will hold up for the long haul, that are just really, really strong. So, and then ironically, I have to say this, there's some songs on this new record that I'm releasing that had a very sincere and frankly, like a very kind of prolific, meaning way before this pandemic ever happened. And little did I know, when you listen to them now, they've taken on a whole new meaning, and it's really, really. I was just talking to my co-producer, Moose Brown, today, and before I talked to you, and he said, "Man, I just heard a song that we had written called 'Wait for It.'" And he said, "Man, it just hit me between the eyes." He said, How could we have known how perfect a message it was for what we're going through right now?" So, there's some of that happening too.
So mentally, are you okay with the idea of not being able to support a brand new album with one date on the books, meaning that record sales are different? There's no doubt about it. There's no argument there. Things have changed with the way people get their music. We can get it out there on all of these different formats and streaming efforts and all of this, but your main source of revenue as an artist in this world today, I would feel, is the live show and the merch and getting to know your audience. And that's where, you're getting booked by these promoters in these different venues, and that's how you make your livelihood. So I understand naturally that's not even a discussion. Like, that's
Right.
stressful on anybody with a revenue stream. But now that you have this new album coming out, are you and Matt and everybody sitting back going, well, maybe it's smart to push it back even further now that you're not going to have enough dates before August, and maybe make it more of I can't imagine if you're, the way your brain works, and you're self-admittingly a busybody, and you're a type A personality, you have a hard time shutting it off like I do. Man, my mind would be circling 100 miles an hour. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get it out there? I mean, we've put in our heart and soul and our passion into this project, and now if it doesn't have leave its mark, and if it doesn't have emphasis when it's released, is it the smart thing to do to hold off a little bit more? Like, all of those questions in the music business, because you're not the only one that has albums coming out right now, and It's kind of a weird time.
Yeah, great. It's a great question you're posing there, and I'll tell you. The answer to that question is, so we had June 5th, and then that was just a no-brainer to push it back. And I came up with the date August 28th. It was actually to the chagrin of my publicists, who are based out in Santa Monica, out in LA. They wanted me to keep it June 5th. And man, at that point, I knew that we were going to push it back. I said, this is my record. This is my livelihood. This is my life. And those around me, that the team around me that I work with, my band, my manager, publicity, all of us, we are a team. It affects way more than just me, but if I don't make the right decision here, I'm going to regret it. So I really instinctively knew that pushing it back from June 5th, which we were going to do kind of wrapped around, even though it's more of an Americana record, with shadow of a doubt it is, we were going to release it around CMA Fan Fest, which is at the top of June. And I knew that was just about to be canceled. So I called Brian, my manager, and I said, Brian, I know that there's a lot of stuff still on the books right now. I know that right now we still have a lot of dates, and that not everything is going away, but I think it's going to, and I think that's going to be what's going to happen. And I think we should push this release date back. And he agreed. And then we had to call everybody else, and there was some pushback. But I just said, I'm not doing that. I want to be able to at least give it a chance to tour around it. So I don't know why, but August 28th just seemed like, popped out in my head. And I thought maybe that's enough pushback where, good Lord willing, like I said, we would have some enough time to be able to hopefully, find some sort of a vaccine, or at least some, everybody be testing more. We'd have the numbers more accurate. Things would be moving along a lot better, and that there was a very good chance, I thought, that I might be able to, even in some outdoor venues or smaller venues. Maybe not to the big crowds yet, but in some small way, I'd still be able to make a really big deal physically, face to face, with this record. And sure enough, here we are, like I said, at the top of June, and I don't see that happening. So to answer your question, I asked myself, well, I said self. And do you really want to stick with the 28th? And unequivocally, I think without a doubt, I think people need new music right now. We're all looking for it. I know I'm excited when I'm looking down and scrolling down, seeing people that I admire and I enjoy listening to putting out new music. I'm still buying it. I'm still getting a hold of it. It's easy to get a hold of. It doesn't matter whether you, obviously it's on everybody's digital platform. So there's so many digital platforms that people can get a hold of music. So however people choose to do that, whether it be iTunes or Spotify or whatever, however they choose to get their music, it will be available on all of those. And then those like myself who still like to hold something physical in their hand, we will be doing vinyl, which I think is super important right now. I think vinyl has made a big comeback. It's a whole culture that is I know we have a record player in the house. We use it all the time. We have it running constantly, in fact, and there is a warmth and a sound on vinyl that you just simply don't get in any other way of, any other facet. So of listening. So also CDs, we're going to be having those. So even though we're not going to be able to get out there physically, August 28th is going to stick. I'm going to stick by it. Even if it means I can't go out there and tour physically, I have been working my arse off, and thank God for Matt King, my other half, he is literally, he's a writer and an artist and a producer himself. And he's kind of had to switch modes and put a different hat on and learn. I wish I had the patience, but he has literally had to learn how to build a whole new platform, just like so many of us are having to do, whether they hire a company or they do it themselves at home. We're having to do this right here. We are creating a whole new audience, keeping our loyal fans, and doing live streams. So I've been doing that every Sunday on Facebook live in my home studio right here. We call it Live from the Hideaway, and kind of like a quarantine, flip of the phrase there, and just said, let's do this on a regular schedule every Sunday at 6:00 Central, and people can tune in. And every week, I take some requests. I play some of the former hits from back in the early days. I kind of bounce around all the way through my career, and then I play a lot of bounce around through this new record, the Barfly sessions, so that I can kind of, even though it's an acoustic version of it, I can give people a taste of what this new record is. And there's so many different flavors on that record that it's been kind of fun to do that. So I've been actually, keeping a nice, building a nice foundation with that. Been guesting on, being a guest on a lot of other platforms, from The Boot to the Parlor Sessions. Me and James McMurtry are going to do one on June 8th. So there's a lot of that going on. I mean, every day there's 2 to 3, sometimes 4 things going on, just like this right here. And very few days off. So it's just, we're still marketing the record. We're just doing it in an entirely different way. And to put the cap on the end of that question, do I love it? Am I embracing it? I'm embracing it because I have to. And I'm grateful for it, because if we didn't have this, we wouldn't have any way to reach out to our friends and our fans. So I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful people get on and they sit there and write in, and they they'll throw me their requests, or they'll tell me, hey, I love your shirt. Can you play some Delta Dawn? Can you, what? It could be any number of things. I talk about what are people watching? What are people eating? What are people reading? We talk about cooking. We talk about all kinds of stuff on my live stream on Sunday nights. And now I'm starting to do one on Wednesday nights. Wednesday afternoons. Starting June 10th, I'm going to be doing one hosted by Honer Harmonicas. And I'm going to be doing like a 30 to 45 minute set it's every other Wednesday, starting June 10th. And I'm going to be picking 2 to 3 songs from the Barfly sessions and focusing on those tracks, particularly singing a few other outside things. Might be a cover, might be a hit from Trick Pony or a hit from prior solo stuff, but mainly focusing on the Barfly sessions. And that's brought to you by Honer, who has been very good to me as a harp player in my career. So there's lots of ways we're having to be very creative to reach out to you guys and to keep people interested, because let's be honest, there's a whole bunch of people like me doing this very same thing, and you got to find new and interesting ways to keep people on board and not scrolling by.
Yeah, and I think it's been really cool to see the support that the fans are giving the musicians on a lot of different levels of support being on there, and then what the musicians are giving back to the fans to provide that music and that sanctity and that therapy that so many people are grasping for. No matter what, it's not going to replace the adrenaline and the backstage feeling of walking off your bus and that walk to the stage, and you tying your scarf around your head or putting your hat on and grabbing your harp and hitting it once or twice and going out. I can't imagine the energy that goes into that. And that's kind of how we started this conversation, Heidi, was that swagger is so key in what you do. Like what Jerry Jeff, the story you told me about meeting Jerry Jeff in New Orleans, the city that he, met Mr. Bojangles, the city that he wrote the songs Bojangles in when he was in jail for, Jerry Jeff got arrested for public drunkenness, and he got up on a table and he was telling this woman that I love you, you need to marry me. And she was a waitress. They called the cops. He goes to the drunk tank, meets this guy named Bojangles. And when you tell that story about swagger, it's like, I think of like everything that goes into just the swaggerness in the title of this record, right? So like when I was coming up in the country and you would hear of my dad being at a bar, or my mom would stop at this little place called the Watering Hole, or when I turned 21 and I was in these bars, Barfly had a negative connotation in the way that it was presented to me growing up. Like, hey, stay away from her. She's just a barfly. Things like were negative. And then I started thinking like, well, why would Heidi Newfield name an album when she has so much swagger and all this talent in the world? And so I started thinking, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it's kind of like, if I was a songwriter, I would want to be a fly on the wall in so many of these bars and these honky tonks and these neon signs, just to see what's going on, the stories being told, the beers being spilled or poured, the pool games and billiards going on, the honky tonk, everything that goes into it. So I'm started to think like, you hear that saying, like, if I could just be a fly on the wall when they were doing this. So I think that title has some really cool cleverness to it as far as where you go. But where is the swaggerness in that name? Why the Barfly sessions when you've played the biggest stages, the biggest crowds, you've had number one hits, you've written number one hits, you've delivered number one hits at radio, you've had multi-platinum selling albums. Why Barfly? Are we supposed to look at you in a different light? Or am I supposed to think like Heidi is a fly on the wall and she's gathering all this intake and intel before she puts pen to paper with her co-writers?
Such a good question, and actually, the answer is so simple. There's a track on this record, the Barfly Sessions Volume 1, that is called Barfly. Ironically, the word barfly is never used in the song, not one time, but it refers to a woman. It tells a story of a woman. It's kind of got it's got a little bit of speaking of swagger, it's got a beat and a swagger to it that's kind of reminiscent of a Johnny Cash boom chicka kind of feel. There's some soul singers back there that are just really getting it with me. But it's a harmonica song. It's got a country flavor to it. It's it's genreless. It's one of those songs that you could kind of put on the radio and somebody might call it country and the other person might say, well, that's a blues tune, or that's got, this feel to it. So back to the story. It's about a woman who is sitting in a bar, and this kind of slick dude comes up and sits down next to her on the stool next to her, and they could strike up a conversation, and it tells a kind of an overview of a story of how this woman is basically, she knows her stuff. She has been there and done that. She has seen 1,000 pretty boys and come and go from these types of places, and she is nobody's fool. So it actually kind of takes this woman who's it actually turns the derogatory. I totally agree that Barfly, from the movie that Mickey Rourke was in, Barfly, I mean, it was definitely a derogatory, used in a derogatory way. We just sort of flipped the switch on it and sort of made it about, it could be anybody. You could be 21 years old and a newbie to this thing, but you got a swagger about yourself and a way of holding yourself, and you're not going to be played for a fool. So this one was kind of like coming from my view, my vantage point, if you will, as has happened many times as I've been sitting at a bar, maybe having a cold beer or a sip of whiskey or something. And of course, somebody's going to flop down, and it could be the coolest conversation ever, which it usually ends up being, or it could be like, I see what this guy's all about right off the bat. I see this coming, and how I have handled that in the past. And this woman she says flat out, I'm not going home with you, but man, if you'll buy my drinks tonight, I'll light your cigarettes. And she says, I came here for the party, but I'm going home alone. If you're down with that, then Mr. Bring It On. It's really kind of almost a feel good thing, but it's really about a woman who knows her stuff. And so it's even so, as we got done writing it, and it needs to be said, actually, I think I'll be introducing him here in a minute, but Matt King, my other half, who's a talented guy in his own right, he had been kind of playing with this sort of like, I don't know, it just was this really cool groove. And from the kitchen, I was, I kept hearing him walking around the house playing this really cool Johnny Cashy kind of vibey sort of thing. And I said, Matt, I really love that. I said, let me hop on with on that thing with you. And he said, yeah, absolutely. So he had, he started with a couple of phrases, and we decided that's where we were going with it. And we wrote a couple verses, and it was on a day. We finished it on a day when I was writing with Moose Brown and Leslie Satcher, finishing another song on the record, which is a complete 180 called Wait For It that I mentioned to you earlier. And we finished it early because we had already written a chorus. So we finished that song in a matter of, really quite quickly. And I said, guys, nobody in this room needs 4 people to write a song, for God's sakes. But Matt and I've got this cool thing started, and it's really fun. Would y'all mind if I go upstairs and get him? Let's just have some fun writing this thing if y'all are into it. And they said, absolutely, go up and get him. Go get him. So I went up and got Matt, and I grabbed my harp and he grabs his guitar, and we played him these couple verses that we had down of this song that ended up being called Barfly. And they fell out. They were like, oh, this is awesome. And so we wrote this tune. And it's really about a wise woman who just, is just, she knows her stuff, and she knows her way around, and she's So it kind of flips the switch on that derogatory phrase. And so when we wrote the song, when we finished it up, Matt was sitting at the board, and we were kind of mixing a little demo on it. And I said, let's call this thing Barfly. Even though I knew that, and we all went, yeah, that kind of fits. It's really cool. Like, this woman, she's not a slime ball. She's a class act. She just happens to be, like so many of us women, we like to go to bars too. But that doesn't mean that, that you're a slime bag. So that being said, we all said, let's call it Barfly. And then it took no time at all as Moose and I began to build the record, and it was getting so big. We cut like 18 songs, but we put 14 on the record. That's a pretty big record. And I just started referring to it as the Barfly sessions. And Moose just looked at me and he goes, I love that. He goes, it just falls out of the mouth. It's easy he said, I would be interested in hearing what is on the Barfly sessions. What is that? What do you have to say? So we started calling it the Barfly sessions, and then we added the volume 1 because there might be a volume 2. So,
well, there's got to be, because it is a very interesting title, and it's a cool analogy of the word experience. Like, you've been in the game. You are have had an awesome career that's still rocking. When I
was 6.
So yeah, so like you could
20 years ago.
The negative connotation of it is, how many years ago did you say? I'm glad I was talking over that, because I think I heard you wrong.
Yeah.
You started when you were 6, so you started 30 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
It's perfect. But I think Barfly is cool because it tells you that you've been there, done that, and just because if a girl goes to a bar, it's almost like the old analogy in high school that if a girl put out, she was a slut, but if a guy did, he was a stud. And I know this is a family show, but it's always been an unfair deal to where if a guy was at a bar, he was just there to meet his buddies, but if a girl was continuously there after work, she's a Barfly. So I'd always heard that growing up about certain individuals, and I think it's I just think it's an awesome, I just picture the cover art. I picture the merch and the shirts and the koozies with the fly on the wall, or, I don't know. There's a lot of cool things that I could see it doing, but,
well, there's also a reference to liquor in a lot of these songs of some sort. There's a lot of reference to, and as you know, I'm a whiskey drinker and a wine drinker, and I'm a drinker, but I don't drink to get hammered. I drink because I actually enjoy the taste of it, and I'm pretty responsible about it. And so, like, the people on my bus will go, "How is it that you're barely 5'2", and you can outdrink all of us?" And I'm like, because I don't do shots. I'm a sipper. You got to learn how to drink.
You got to be a Barfly.
You gotta be this kind of a Barfly. So yeah, it's funny, the double standard that women that double standard still applies in so many ways in the music business and in general. You pretty much nailed it when you said, if a guy does this and this, he's considered a stud. If a woman does it, she's considered a whore.
Yeah, it's a weird mindset. It's unfair in a lot of ways. But I think the word sessions too is really cool because it just puts on this whole, I don't know, I like it. It's got an old school feel to it, and it's got a traditional sense to it. And I can't wait to hear it. I want to do, like, if it's coming out right around Labor Day, we need to do something on the, the Barfly, the working tapes and the working man's holiday and all of this stuff coming up, the work tapes, I want to help promote it. I want to help get the music out there. I want to hear some of it. What song if I said I want you to sing a song off of the new album, is there one that automatically pops up that what would be the first release? What's the first single, or what? Do you have one in mind?
Well, there is a first single that we are gonna come with that actually is a thing that I got to do with. It's a little bit more of a blues tune, literally by the title. It's called "The Blues Is My Business," and I got to do it with Delbert McClinton. So, I mean, it's one of only 2 songs on the record that I didn't have a hand in writing or didn't write. But I heard it, and but there had to be maybe 15 people in the room in this pitch meeting when I heard it, and everybody was moving. Some people were up, like just grooving and shaking. It was hilarious. And I immediately said, oh my God, I've got to cut this song. And then immediately started thinking who would make a great duet partner for it. And I thought, Delbert. I'd never worked with him before like this, but he heard the music and was kind enough to, he agreed to come in and blow some harp on it with me and sing on it. We had a really big time. It was very cool. And he has since invited me to do some dates with him and invited me to come play on his blues cruise that he does every year in January, which we did. Matt and I went, and I'm glad we went. We had a blast. It was like the Mavericks, and it's just this whole mishmash of blues singers, writers, and pickers. A lot of players: Sean Camp and Lauren Massetti and Sharon Vaughn and Big Al Anderson and Gary Nicholson but then there's these guys like the Mavericks are on it. The Foy Vance from Dublin, Ireland is on it. He's amazing. The list is endless and then of course you've got Delbert. Leroy Parnell was on it. So we all kind of like, you had this kind of combination of country, blues, singer-songwriter kind of stuff, and it was really, really fun. We did that in January. And thank God nobody was the very beginning of hearing about, what was going on, what was coming over from China. So thank God we all made it back okay from a cruise. But that is the first single that's coming out. And that will come out directly right before the record comes out August 28th. Largely going to put it out to Americana and roots, and certainly like, places like Willie's Roadhouse and Outlaw Country and those types of things, because it just suits, it's just music. It's just really good music. But to answer your question, so I can do that one for you right now, or I can do the title track of this thing. What do you want to do, Matt? You call it. You're helping me pick on this thing.
This is your gig, babe. Barfly would be fun.
Let's do Barfly since we talked a long time about it. I think let's do Barfly because
yeah, I want to hear this groove that Matt had come up with.
You'll hear what I'm talking about, Chad, when
what's your shirt
we
say?
break into this thing. Now you have to remember this really on the record, it really grooves and it really grows, and I got these killer soul singers with me that are just getting it. So there's like some cool breakdown things, but acoustically, I think it's a lot of fun too. Folks, this is Matt King.
What up, Matt?
Who has stolen my Ray Wiley hat.
Oh, I like Ray Wiley Hubbard. What does your shirt say, Heidi? What does it say?
This is my new favorite t-shirt right now, dude.
You got to stand up a little bit. Your microphone's in the way.
Says this badass woman honors the badass woman in you.
Oh, that's cool.
So, it's kind of about, I'm not one of those catty women. I like to actually lift up and support my fellow sisters in music. So,
are you a fan, real quick before you sing? Are you a fan of Gretchen Wilson?
Gretchen and I are good friends. Yeah. Yeah. That woman can sing the phone book. Are you kidding me?
I would love to see you and her live together, like trade songs back and forth. She's a duck hunter. She's a badass.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even know what happened to her, where she went, but man, she's freaking strong.
She's still around. She's still making music. She's got,
I love her new album. She's
opened up a label, I think, and has actually got a couple of people that she's kind of going to, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but I'm pretty sure that she's got a new label that she has started, and she's kind of stepping over onto the other side of it. Still is an artist and is still writing, but I think that she's got a couple of young guys, I think a girl and a guy that are coming up, that she is helping bring up. And I'm really glad to see her do that. So, yeah, no, she's still around. In fact, it's probably been right at about 8-9 months since I've seen her. But we do stuff around town, and I'll be playing some benefit or something down to, at some, like 3rd and Lindsley or someplace downtown. And from the back of the room, I'll see Gretchen come walking up, and she'll throw me, throw $20 bills in the air or whatever. She's awesome, man. She's my kind of people.
Yeah, I like her too.
And she's tough, man. She's a go-getter.
I really liked that album that she did last year or the year before. It was a girl's name. Not Fancy, but I can't remember.
God, now I'm going to be embarrassed because I can't remember either.
No, I can't remember it either. And I've listened to it a lot of times. I'm looking right now. It's about a girl. It's kind of like chewing a girl out for being the reason why women get the name Barfly sometimes. If I remember right.
Exactly. I'm grabbing a harp and making sure I actually have the right one.
The album's called Ready to Get Rowdy, and the single off of it was called Stacy.
Good job doing your research,
Stacy. I should have had that down before.
This is B flat, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why is it that of all the harps I can't find is an E flat harp? Hold on, Chad. I'm coming to. I found it. We're good.
So the song is called Barfly.
So this is the title track, which happened completely organically and authentically, which is the best way for it to happen, I believe. And Matt King kicks it off. Here we go.
Barfly by Heidi Newfield.
2, 3, 4.
No, sir, I'm not new here. I come here all the time. I've seen 1,000 pretty boys and I've heard every line. No, I won't be your baby, so just put that thought to bed. But I'll let you buy my drinks tonight, and I'll light your cigarettes. And I said, oh Lord, bless my soul, better not have no ring or gold. I got a pistol, don't want to fight. Ain't no fool for a cheating lie. Come on. Look like Chardonnay. Oh, my baby, I'm all crowned. If you want a midnight princess, well, I'll go another round. We just throw that band of 20. Lord, I bet they'll bring some Merle. And if you feel like dancing, well, daddy, I'm your girl. And I said, oh, Lord, bless my soul. Better not have no ring or gold. I got a pistol, don't wanna fly. Ain't no fool for cheating. I said, oh, Lord, bless my soul. Better not have no ring or gold. I got a pistol, don't wanna fight. Ain't no fool for cheating liar. Watch out now. I got an 87 Chrysler. That Detroit still can fly. If this whole thing goes south, man, I'll crank that thing in 5. I came here for the party, but I'm going home alone. Well, if you're down with that, well then, mister, bring it on. I said, oh Lord, bless my soul, better not have no ring or gold. I got a pistol, don't wanna fight. Ain't no fool for a cheating liar. Bless my soul, better not have no ring or gold. I got a pistol, don't wanna fight. Ain't no fool for a cheating lie. I said, oh Lord, bless my soul, better not have no ring or gold. I got a pistol, don't wanna fight. Ain't no fool for a cheating liar. Yeah, nah, nah, nah. I said, oh Lord, bless my soul, better not have no ring or gold. Oh Lord, bless my soul, better not have no ring or go.
Damn it. That is freaking awesome.
Not
So
fun.
freaking strong. Wait,
It's mad.
oh Lord,
Bless my soul. Better not
better
have.
not have no ring of gold. So
I got a pistol. Don't want to
wanna
fire.
fight, not
Ain't
leaving
no
here
fool
on the
or
cheating night.
liar. So it's
Cheating
about
liar.
this woman who's going, don't mess with me.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Where
for
are you
having me.
going, man? You're stud. Where are you going to?
I know. You could just sit here and we could do that, man. Trust me. We're quite
So,
comfortable in
so
this
I really
world.
think it is badass that the title track, the title of the entire project, the Barfly Sessions, is not said one time in the song.
No.
That doesn't happen very often.
There's also a song that finishes the record out called Come Hell or High Water Blues. And it never says Come Hell or High Water Blues, but it refers to it's I wrote it with a guy named Bobby Tomberlin, who is just salt of the earth, amazing writer, who's written some huge hit songs. But he's kind of like, he's one of those guys like us who he loves all kinds of music, but he is he's an ambassador, I would call him, for traditional country music, for the Grand Ole Opry. Bobby's just a great guy, and he and I wrote a lot together at one point, pre-pandemic, when everybody was writing with each other. And we wrote this song that's kind of an ode. It's kind of like almost a Bob Seger turn the page sort of a feel, in the sense that it's an ode to the fans, and it's from my standpoint, and it's pretty cool to hear. You don't hear a woman talk about the things. It tips its hat to our military. It tips its hat to the working mothers of the world who come out and support live music and who show up at my shows, but without saying, it's a little bit more subliminal. So I called it Come Hell or High Water Blues, because it's really about me saying, hey, thank you, and I'm going to make a difference in my own way. Come hell or high water, and is basically how it's referred to. So that's another title that's not actually said, but that's what it's called.
I like the funk in that song, and the whole personality of the song is way cool. You guys, it's a simple concept, but I think that it's so cool because it's not said. It's not like right in your face, like she's a barfly. It's just called Barfly.
Well, it's fun, Chuck, because there's some songs on this record that
maybe he's the barfly in it.
Bingo. It's kind of almost a play on words, and sort of like a play on roles as well.
Yeah, the rules
and
and the roles.
Like I said, there's so many different matters in which that even Matt sitting here, he's witnessed, and over the years, stories we've heard from from the people who paved the way from us, that we've hung out with, who've told us stories where the double standard between what men can do on the road and the double standard between what women can do on the road, or how they're perceived, is night and day. So if you're like me and you're a horse girl, you're an A personality, you're an extrovert, you're not really very shy, you don't know a stranger, you like to hunt, you like to fish, I know my way around a ranch. I rode rodeo and showed horses my whole life. 4-H girl all my life, from 9 years old to the day I graduated, all of that stuff. So I grew up in that lifestyle of kind of where
You were one of the guys.
you're one of the guys. We were, in my family, my grandmother worked right alongside on the dairy and sheep ranch. She worked right alongside all the men, and there was never any, they didn't have that double standard. But when I moved to Nashville, or even before that, like when I was watching Coal Miner's Daughter as a little bitty kid, I was going, wow, there is a big difference between a woman's role in music and a man's role in music. We've come a long way. But I think, and this is a really important subject to bring up, I mean, just listen to the radio right now. Listen to country radio if you listen to country radio, which I tend to kind of listen to what I'm in the mood for. So I listen to a lot of Americana radio and you know, I listen to a lot of, like, if I'm in the mood for the blues, I listen to a lot of satellite radio.
You had
So
bluegrass on last night when you came home.
yeah, I'm all over the map. I mean, I'll be get in the mood for jazz, and we'll have Miles Davis on the turntable on. We'll have Willie Dixon and Sun House, and like I go old school blues, Big Mama Thornton. I'm so all over the map. But in country music, there is a sort of, if you know, like with the Grand Ole Opry, and you think about like the history of it, there's a reverence. A lot of it came from that mountain music, that bluegrass music, and a lot of that music came from the churches and the church houses. So a lot of gospel was very much the backbone of where country music was born. So as you move forward from the history of country music, what women could wear, what women could say, has had to kind of sort of, you know, me and Tanya Tucker are very good buddies. And I'll tell you something, man, one of the things that I always loved about her, even sometimes for me, I'd be going, damn, how'd she get away with that? I loved the fact that she was kind of a bad girl and sort of kind of an outlaw and one of the original kind of women outlaws. So was Patsy Cline. Patsy Cline cussed like a sailor and was just like, you know, this is my career and this is what I'm singing and this is how I'm doing it. And so, you know, they kind of played the role of stepped over into what ultimately at that time was considered a man's role. So we still have to deal with a lot of that. But you turn on the radio, and especially if you listen to just straight across the board country radio, statistically speaking, women are played, I think it's like 2 women to every 8 men. And the same is with booking. When you go to a festival, you will see 1 or 2 women on the bill up against 8, 9, 10, 12 men or groups that are made of men. Women aren't booked as much. So that kind of pisses me off a little bit. And it's like, there's so many of us out there that are entertainers. We put on just as good a show. We can get out there and rock the crowd. People know our songs. So it's like, you know, we still have to keep that. We still have to keep, you know, being verbal about it. We still have to raise the bar for us women. And that's why I kind of am not shy about supporting my you know, the women of country music and of any music for that matter.
Give me 2 right now. Give me 2 right off the top of your head right now that you would pay to see live right now. Women.
That I'd pay to see live? Oh gosh, the list is endless.
Go.
I want to go see. Brandi Carlile because I haven't met Brandi yet, and I love what she's doing.
She's amazing.
And I love her movement. I love her voice. I love her history. So Brandi would be one. Okay, I'm going to go completely in a weird direction. Woman who is born in Canada but lives in New Zealand and travels the world. She is a big, beautiful woman with a big, beautiful black bouffant, and she has a massive voice, and her name is Tammy Nielsen. I would pay to go see Tammy Nielsen any day right now.
Is she considered country?
She kind of has a little rockabilly flair to her, and her style is definitely kind of retro rockabilly. She is, if you look her up, she is, I'm going to make sure I spell this right because she spells her name a little differently, different. But she is, I would call her Americana, rockabilly, definitely rockabilly flavor, but her voice is 10 feet tall and bulletproof. It is just incredible. And she has this sort of bag that she does. She's not over here singing like stone country songs, but man, that voice is like, ooh, it's so good. So let me, I'm going to look her up so I can tell y'all.
Is there anybody that you would go pay to see that's on country radio right now?
Oh, absolutely. Oh gosh, yes.
I'd pay to see Miranda.
Absolutely.
I think Miranda's stud.
Miranda's a no-brainer. One of the things that Miranda's done so beautifully is she has written and picked stunning songs. She has done such a good job of picking the material and writing the material for her career. And I love her voice. I love that she can be a badass over here and turn around and be extremely vulnerable and breathy over here. I love that she's not scared to be tough. So I would put her in the same category as like, kind of like, you know, just everything from her logo with the pistols to Gretchen to myself. She's kind of a tough.
But just right there in that sentence right there, you just name like three of not the only, but probably the top three females that I would pay to go see because of that attitude and that non-apologetic way. That's not going to, you know, just be a yes woman to the industry. I think that there's something to be said of. There's no way that Gretchen should have been out of country radio as fast as she was. And we're not going to go back into our discussion that we had last time we were doing this.
We had a
I'm just simply saying that is what country music women are missing is the Heidis and the Gretchens. And thank God that Miranda and the Pistol Annies and even Marin's got a little bit of bad girl to her, you know, when she's doing her country vibe.
Ashley McBryde might be one of my
Ashley's a stud
babes right now. I mean, and not just right now, but like she's here to stay. That woman is completely unapologetic.
She's awesome.
Nor should she be. She is who she is. Another one that I love who is a songwriting fool, and I think she's kind of like how I like to describe her is she kind of flies a little bit under the radar more than I think she should. But like Ashley, she's a Chris Christopherson of today as far as a songwriter, and that is about as high praise as I could give anybody. Is Brandy Clark? Brandy Clark writes amazing songs.
You need to go sing with her on her deal. Has she invited you yet?
No, she hasn't yet. And and she's my friend too. We go.
You
way
need to go
back
sing
to
on.
long
You guys would sound awesome together on that. It's called something like "You Can't Come Over, but You Can Come In," or
but you can come in. Yeah,
like that.
I've actually seen it on. It's on Instagram, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, like Tennille Townes, she has a kind of like a very interesting voice. I like her style. I like the look of her guitar. I like that she's actually playing and writing. I like women that actually step up and can. Well, not everybody's a player, and I understand that. So I'm not trying to like isolate. There's some amazing women that don't play guitar or any instrument, but that are powerhouses. But I do really love it when I see a woman walk up and pick up a guitar or whatever it is, sit behind a piano or grab a harmonica, whatever it is that you play, and be able to kind of hold your own with your band or on your own. There's something about that. And then from a songwriting standpoint, there's something really, really beautiful and powerful about anybody, male or female, being able to sit down and write a great song. Like, that's one of the things that I'm going to confess to you, like on a personal note, that turned me on to this guy before I ever even met him was we wrote for the same publishing company, never had met. And he was singing bone country, pure, like super traditional country stuff at the time. And now he's kind of like all over the map like I am. But you have more of a, like he's from Western North Carolina. So he's got that bluegrass, pure kind of like singing fool. But what I loved about Matt right off the bat was I heard some of his songs. I was like, this guy's got a wicked mind and wicked brilliant mind is what I mean by that. And so that's a huge turn on when you see somebody that can walk up and sing something that is going to evoke some kind of emotion from an audience, whether it have to be like this through a camera and a computer, but particularly when you can walk up on a stage live and capture your audience and whatever emotion that you're trying to get across, whether it's a celebratory kind of thing and it's a friends in low places and it's a party thing, or it's a tearjerker and really, or it's about the loss of something. So, being able to reel that your audience in and pull them into where you are, man, it's a really powerful thing to watch somebody be able to do that. So
I agree.
I think there's a lot of actually some women that are out there that I would pay to go see.
I want to hear them all, because I get turned on, in not that sense, but the same sense that you're talking about of just intellectually and cleverness and wittiness and stuff. When I hear a song written the way that hits me, it's different. And that's why I do this show. Not that you need me, that you're going to sell any more albums, but we have a big platform, and we have a way of telling people, like, we support these musicians because of this. And that really means, like, when we have a thing called the Foul Life playlist that's on Apple Music that I want to talk to you about, but it's kind of one of those things is, do we have the credibility to do it? But I asked Jamie, and I asked Zach, and I asked Brent Cobb, and I asked Adam Hood, and I asked some guys to be on it. And now I started thinking about it when you were talking, like, how many women do I have on there? And there's only one girl on there, I think, and it's Haley Witters, which I want you to meet this girl, Haley Witters from Iowa.
That sounds familiar. I think I'm familiar. She's blonde?
Yeah. And she just put out a song called 10-Year Town, but she has some of the cleverest lyrics I've heard from a female written. And she's a fan of you. She's just a badass human being. And I met her through Brent Cobb, because she opened for Brent last year when he was on his West Coast swing of his tour. And she's just fantastic. So I started thinking, like, this playlist has got all guys on it that are all playing this music on our shows. Yeah. And I want to have, like, I've asked Ashley McBride to be on the show. Haley's been on this show. You've been on this show, but that's it. That's the only females that have ever come on to the show as far as country music or singer-songwriters. So I don't know, like Ashley McBride, I've asked Ashley, please come on to the show. And I've gotten some, like, okay, like, it's going to happen kind of vibes, but I think her music is freaking her songwriting's unbelievable. She's a great guitar player, and she can sing the house down as well. But I don't know. I think that what
also really good pickers. I mean, she can
pick.
Hold her own.
Yeah, he was just.
But that's what I was that's where I was going with it, is that you guys don't need us. We're just a duck hunting show. But here's what's going on. The way that Brent Cobb explains it to me is, we are some of the new voices and the new forces out here that can keep the music going and be the new DJs and be the new promoters and be the new people. Like, I book so many shows a year of bringing people out or putting on corporate events or whatever. And I always do it with the music that really pulls at my heartstrings, that gets me in a happy way, a sad way, a stoned way, a high way, a happy way, a lonesome way. All of those songs, all of the people that we work with, they really touch us, right?
Right.
That didn't sound right. All of the people that we work with.
Sounded just right.
I understand it. We were on your sled, buddy.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, music is so powerful, and we just want to be, like, able to go, yeah, that this music right here means everything to us and what we do and our well-being. And this is what makes us who we are, because from the earliest stages of my life, the fabrics of my existence are music. Like, don't know how to pick a guitar, want to play the drums, took some lessons. I'm okay, I suck pretty much, but I love music. And I've been so intrigued and so inspired by music over the years that's why I love hearing the stories or getting this message out there of, like, the Barfly sessions. I don't know what the chances are that we will hear a single of Barfly sessions on the highway of traditional country radio.
You might be hearing more than you think.
No, that's what I want. That's what I want, is that I want to be able to get at least people of hearing it as much as we possibly can get it out there, that when it does go that big, what could it hurt that we're out here promoting the music of Heidi Newfield? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know where the music is going, because the music that I love is not played on traditional country music. It's just not. There's not Brent Cobb has never been played on traditional country music, and I will literally fall out crying over so many songs because his lyrics just get me. And I don't know. I just don't know if it's going. I don't know if it'll ever go back to that. But Heidi, we're not going there.
We talked about that so much I think Matt has so many stories about the very same subject and what got played, what slid through the cracks, that you just sit there and go, how in the world did that slide through the cracks? And to be honest with you, like how you look at the hardcore loyal fan base of somebody that say say I'm just a hypothetical person who has a huge following in Texas and New York City for whatever reason, like that guy right there, two very opposite places, but has a huge following in New York City and Texas, and very loyal, fans that love what he does, and that started here in Nashville with him doing like very traditional. I mean, he was kind of signed to be sort of like the next one of those guys that sings like, has the licks and the chops of a Mark Chestnut or a Keith Whitley was kind of like what, what they saw was this babyface Keith Whitley. And I'm like, and that's how great he sings. And he is just, so there are times that I'll sit back, and I think all of us do this, whether you're a fan or you are a fellow artist or whatever, and you go, how is this person so huge, and then this person fell through the cracks and isn't massive and filling up stadiums? I don't know whatever the magic dust that from the heavens that has to happen to make that happen, but all I can tell you is that whether we're coming from a whatever level is, whether we're coming from a more intimate, smaller, cult following type level, or whether you're coming from a level like myself where you've had really big commercial success, but then maybe you're doing something that's a little, your country's getting a little countryer, your blues are getting a little bluesier. And you're stretching the boundaries on your records, and you're not letting anybody tell you not to do that. All the way to the level A's of the Chris Stapletons and the Maren Morrises, and even Chris has had a hard time with radio play. So I think the key with all of that is you just have to kind of be content with playing music for a living and be okay with that, and keep working hard and keep going at it. And I've always heard from some very wise people, chase the music and the money will come. And that has always been my philosophy. If you chase the music, you put on a great show, you leave everything on that stage, you chase the music and you chase those fans in an authentic way, the rest will sort of come. Whether it comes in like a cultish kind of small following, or whether it comes in big mass population, popular, what you'd call an A artist, as far as you're filling up football stadiums. That's who's to know what it is that I mean, I always admire people. I know the most of the people who are able to hold a crowd and that big of an audience, whether you like them or not, they have been so tenacious to get to that place. So I try not to whether I'm a fan or not. If I'm a fan, I go buy their music. That's what I do. I buy their music. And if I have time or I'm on the bill, I mean, I sit and watch their show. If I'm not that big of a fan, I don't beat him down on an interview. I never say anything like, man, I can't stand him, or I had this bad experience over here with this guy who was a total jerk, or she was wouldn't give me the time of day. I don't run anybody down. There's too much time in the day and too much good energy in the world for us to have to go there. I just don't buy their music if it's something I don't dig. You know what I mean? I don't go see them. So I think that on whatever level, all we can do as artists and writers is do the best we can. And your format right here, stepping out here with you, you're my friend, and I love that if I have an idea or something, I can just text you and go, hey, Chad, what about this? Or if you have an idea and you go, hey, we need to marry you and Jack Daniels, because you got the Barfly sessions and every other song talks about whiskey. You can text me that. We can talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Is that a hint?
yeah, it was.
I like that hint. That was kind of
You like
clever
that?
right there. You got your clever hat on. Did you hear that,
Always.
Matt? That was pretty clever right there. I was already thinking about that with these Friday night concerts they're doing. It would be pretty killer to have a Jack Daniels Friday night gig with Heidi Newfield.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of what they do. Been over there many times and done the tour just because it's so cool. But
Well, I'm going to talk to them because I swear I was already thinking that about this Friday night gig. I don't know if you've been paying attention to what they've been doing, but they had Elle King on there and a couple other people the last
that's
few
another one
Fridays.
who I absolutely
She's awesome.
adore.
I met her. I've never met her. I got introduced to her music from watching Daryl Hall's show, Daryl's House of Hall and Oates, and she was on there, and I was like, "Who in the freak is this girl?" And I was just wowed by her. So I went out and bought every one of her albums and freaking love her. She's a badass.
I should have mentioned her. In fact, she kind of came across my mind, and I didn't spit it out fast enough. But Elle is like, she just is a powerhouse. She just, in every way, from her voice to the way she lives out loud, she's just a badass. I just love her. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's have another podcast about this subject of the Barfly sessions as we get a little bit closer to the release of it, because I am really excited. I am going to talk to Casey at Jack Daniels because I really would like to see that come together for the release of it. And then I want to talk about getting a signed vinyl. I want to talk about the music going on the Foul Life playlist. And I want to talk about, there was one other thing. Oh yeah, I wanted to request one more song to go out on, maybe a TP if you want, or Johnny and June, something that is like that I've been listening to for the existence of
Like
my
a lot of
tenure.
your life.
Well, just my whole existence of Heidi Newfield and I mean, of course, I was introduced to you through TP, and then my mom. I wonder if my mom is still
How
here.
is your mom, by the way?
My mom's awesome. She's been out at my pool today. I'm going to see if she's still here.
You tell her I said hello.
I was going to have her walk in here and you surprise her.
I have put several of my T-shirts and ball caps in your box of swag that's coming to you.
There is a box of swag.
There is a box of swag. He can back me on this. And
I believe
with
you.
your mom and Alyssa in mind. So I'm
Hold on one sec.
Look.
Oh, bring it, boy, up here. He's out cold. He's always out cold.
You met Gus?
Yeah, look at that. Is that a Queensland?
That's a corgi.
It's a corgi.
That's Augustus
Looks like a
McCrae
healer the way you're holding him. Maybe
is.
he's a lot shorter than a healer, isn't he?
He's a long, low down dog. Aren't you?
Hold on one sec, don't.
Are you my buddy? Are you my buddy? Oh man. There you go, Bubba.
I'll turn this thing up.
Let's do Jane
Mom's
Jane.
gone. All right, what are we going out with?
Well, considering we just did a kind of a rocker, we're gonna go out with a little different. We'll go out with a little kind of power ballad, I guess. I don't know. I never considered this song really a ballad, but I guess ultimately it is. Give me just a second so I can not offend anybody. She wants to pull sharp when she gets. Is yours too, Matt? Something about capos. So have you heard the one about which really it's not really an official joke. It's just that now that the pandemic stuff has been going on, everybody's got natural nails. Nobody's going to get their hair done and getting, all their highlights put in and stuff. Some of you husbands and boyfriends are meeting your wives and girlfriends for the first time.
I like it.
Matt's telling me anyways that I am I'm winning in the au naturel department, so that's good.
I like that. That's what he's supposed to tell you.
That's exactly right. It's supposed to
You
like
are-
me just the way God made me.
You are beautiful. El Natural, Heidi.
All right. So this is a tune that I spent quite a bit of time around Johnny Cash and John Carter Cash when I was towards the end of their lives, like the last 3 or 4 years of their lives. Got to record with Johnny Cash on the first Trick Pony record, and that's what started this whole thing off when we cut Big River on that record. And he introduced me to June Carter Cash, and just, you know, I cherish and carry with me a lot of the stories from those last few years. They were precious. They were their love and their adoration for one another and their respect for one another was palpable. You could feel it in the room. And so after I stepped away from Trick Pony and it was time for me to kind of do my own thing, that became a subject in the writing room one day on Music Row. And I'm really, really, really glad that this subject got brought up, because out of that came this song right here. Oh, there's something about a man in black, makes me wanna buy a Cadillac, throw the top back and roll down to Jackson Town. I wanna be there on the stage with you, even I could be the next rage to hear the crowd roar, make 'em want more and kick the footlights out. I wanna love like Johnny and June, rings of fire burning with you. I wanna walk the line till the end of time. I wanna love you that much, cash it all in, give it all up. And when you're gone, I wanna go to like Johnny and June. Wanna hold you, baby, right on. Build a world around the country song, pray a sweet prayer, follow you there. Now down in history, I wanna love like Johnny and June, rings of fire burning with you. I wanna walk the line until the end of time. I wanna love you that much, cash it all in, give it all up. And when you're gone, I wanna go to like Johnny and June. More than life itself, no one else. Listen, this promise, you don't make love like that anymore. Is that too much to be asking for? I wanna love like Johnny and June, rings of fire burning with you. I wanna walk the line, walk that line to the end of time. I wanna love you that much, cash it all in, give it all up. And when you're gone, I wanna go to like Johnny and June. Johnny and June. Johnny and June. Johnny and June. And when we're gone, there'll be no tears to cry, only memories of our lives they'll remember. like that. Mhm. Oh, you're holding your heart.
Yeah, that song's really, really cool.
Thanks,
So
Chad.
good. So
Thanks.
talented. Such mad talent.
Thanks to Matt King for helping me out there.
He's
I
a
appreciate
stud.
that.
I wanna do this again with both of you, and I want to get into some of Matt's music and hear a couple of his tunes.
Yeah, I'll send you some, and I'll send you a. I think it's time. I actually thought I had sent you
Yeah, send me the
a
Barfly.
SoundCloud private thing of the Barfly sessions, but are you telling me I haven't done that yet?
No, you haven't, but you will today. And you'll ship
Yes.
my merch tomorrow. I'm putting you on the spot here right now, Heidi.
I know. I actually, it's ridiculous. I don't know why I haven't shipped your swag.
I'm the same way. I have
I
packages in
told
my
Chad
truck.
before this podcast started, I literally have had a box of T-shirts and I don't know if there's koozies in there or not. I'm not sure what all. I threw ball caps and T-shirts and a bunch of different T-shirts, and it's been sitting with a big group of stuff that we need to send to go drop off to the UPS store, and we have not. It's just been sitting there, and every day I walk by it and I go, I need to mail that.
Send it, please, and send the Barfly. Yeah, and send some of his songs. I really
I'll
want to hear him.
send you a private link to the Barfly sessions, and then, of course, people will be able to. All of you guys watching will be able to. If I can't be out there touring, you can get on my Facebook live thing every Sunday night at 6:00, and just get on my music page because it's kind of fun. I post everything on there. I'm very interactive on there, and my Instagram page also, which is just simply at my name, Heidi Newfield. That's always fun too because we'll get on there and just do like a 2 or 3 song kind of almost a pop-up concert. And those are always kind of fun because you never know what kind of mood, and you'll just be, you can even get your notifications and boom, Heidi Newfield's live on Instagram and it'll pop up. So there's that. And then people can get on the website, and we are just about to launch a brand new website, but it's HeidiNewfield.com. And there will be a new merch store with some brand new swag that involves the Barfly sessions as well.
I can't
A lot
wait.
of it you're getting.
Everybody check her out. Get on Instagram at Heidi Newfield. Get on her Facebook on Sunday nights and check out some of her songs. Listen to some of her recipes. Get to know her personality. She's an absolute badass. I am so humbled to have you on again, Heidi. I will text you. We'll get another one on the books so we could dig into Matt's career and some of his music, his Texas roots,
Yes,
his North Carolina roots.
Yes,
I can't wait for that.
Matt King music.
All right.
Well, I love you, man, and I
love
hope
you
you're.
too.
I hope you stay cool.
I'm going to go jump in right now. I'm going to go jump in right now.
I don't blame you at all, and I may do the same. And hey, I will text you. In fact, stay online after we're done here because I want to ask you a quick question.
Okay, I'm on it. That's Heidi Newfield. We will have her back again right here at This Life Ain't For Everybody, brought to you by our friends Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniels, the most American brand in America, in my opinion. And I am so humbled to be part of the Jack Daniels family. More to come with them in the near future. Brand new episodes of The Foul Life airing right now on the Outdoor Channel. Please check out all of our websites, thefoullife.com. All of our new merch is available right now. Appreciate everything that you guys and girls do to support us. And don't forget to download that Foul Life playlist available right now on Apple Music, where all of Heidi Newfield's music will be available. I'm hoping, if I can talk her into it, very soon. Y'all take care. Tom, hit that button. I would ask Heidi to play us out, but she's already sang us 2 badass songs today. So you guys will go out on this, the track that you hear every episode. What You Gonna Do When the Money's All Gone, written by Leith Lofton and Drake White. Thank you all very much for being here. I'm Chad Belding for Heidi Newfield. We're out.
We're all equal, that's what I think. I don't believe heaven has a bank. Make good use of your time on